Pax has been winning every case since the lawsuit was filed on April 18, 2017, a memorable date. Before that, the judge had dismissed everything, saying this dispute didn't happen in New York, the people involved weren't in New York, and it had nothing to do with New York. The lawsuit was completely thrown out by the court. I continue to be perplexed as to why the lawsuit took place in New York. Right after I exposed the Chinese Communist Party on April 19th, they suddenly filed a case in New York, using these lawyers at this court with the judge. We haven't won a case since then. The most outrageous thing is that before and after the case was filed in New York, I was basically sued for a single claim. Everyone should remember this PowerPoint presentation. For those of you who don't understand this lawsuit, there are a few key points. The PX was suing me because Beijing Panga borrowed a high-interest loan of $100 million from them in 2008. They assert that $30 million remains unpaid from the original loan based on my personal guarantee. But at the end of 2008, a signed contract from Peng showed that it had repaid the $100 million debt, and the PAG admitted it was all returned. They've never denied that Panga had returned the $100 million loan. Then they later said, oh, there was still a $30 million debt that you forgot to repay. Can you see the contradiction here? They admitted the $100 million repayments, and Pangu only borrowed $100 million from you in total. So, how could there still be another $30 million? Then the PAG said, if Pangu won't return money to me, then you have to fulfill your guarantor obligations. I was asked to fulfill my guarantor obligations. I've never denied that I provided a personal guarantee, but I did say that in the end of 2008, I signed a three-party settlement agreement. Once Pangu repaid the money, my personal guarantee relationship ended. The PAG also provided documents stating that I had repaid the $30 million with signatures, and they sued me for that. I informed the court that all the documents produced after 2009 were fraudulent. Please authenticate them. The U.S. courts had rejected the case, and it had absolutely nothing to do with this place. None of the parties involved was here, nor did any of the evidence take place in New York, and I didn't live there regularly at the time. You should know that prior to the date, there was no legal basis for the case. After the case was filed, the court ruled that you had to provide evidence to determine whether the $30 million contract was real or not, and you couldn't ask questions about it anymore. From the very first day, I wasn't allowed to question it. Not only were I silenced, but I also need to provide evidence to prove those documents' authenticity. How can we win in a lawsuit? Without providing any evidence, the PX seized assets, which didn't even belong to me, including the 18th floor apartment of the Sherry Netherland. What is the definition of law in the Western world? The law is a universally recognized means of maintaining governance between the state and society, achieving procedural justice and ultimate justice. This is a standard model for resolving disputes and is recognized by society as a mutually agreed-upon relationship between the government and the public. That's called the law. Is the procedure just? Everything in this process is already unjust. Is the purpose just? The Pax's purpose of coming here to sue me is clear. The simplest thing in the US is to find out who purchased the property on the 18th floor. Is the money Miles? One can easily trace back generations to see if the money is Miles. This is the simplest principle in the West. The money didn't come from Miles Guo. So, where did it come from? If it is mine, I had to earn it and have an account. The money wired to purchase New York's Sherry Netherland clearly came from the family fund and Guo Qiang, my son, an independent adult. How did it become mine? Not only that, but the boat belongs to the family fund under Guo Mei. The lawyers insisted that because I am their father, the money must be mine. You see, what an absurd conclusion. When the case was presented to the judge, he ruled that the 18th floor belonged to me, Miles Guo, and was under my shell company. The judge simply ruled that I used a shell company, but didn't investigate where the money came from. Please keep in mind that before this case, there was a similar case like the Marue rape case. It changed from the blue panties to red panties, and the location of the incident was moved from New York City to the Bahamas and finally to London. Additionally, there were 3 unsuccessful attempts at rape, with the victim ultimately remaining a virgin. One can imagine how thick the hymen is, and in the end of the Marue rape case, the blood was all over the bed. This case was very similar to the Marue rape case, and these were all manipulated by Bruno Wu.